been a lot of rumor, good information. You're a good reporter. You know what's real and what's not. Um, where is the noise coming from, and how legitimate are the speculations that Jordan Burch is going to be putting his name in the transfer portal?
Yeah, at this point, the speculations are coming. It's kind of where there's smoke, or where there's smoke, there is fire.
Mhm.
In this case, yes, there is fire. That is a, I would say, possibility. As of probably early yesterday into yesterday afternoon, I probably would have said, well, yeah, it's been a possibility, but Jordan Burch is probably going to come back. As of yesterday evening, I probably would have said it looks like he's leaving. As of last night, I maybe would have said um, it's a little bit still up in the air and it could go either way. So I think this is one of those things where absolutely this started out as sort of just a rumor that was floating around, and it has gained legs. It is a real possibility. Um, I don't exactly know what the latest is because this thing does change
Yeah.
hourly, to be completely honest. It does change by the hour. So we'll see where it goes from here. Maybe Chris will have another update on it. But yeah, it is 100% something to monitor. And as you said, this is going on everywhere in college football right now. And, I think the level of roster churn that you're seeing in college sports right now is clearly at an all-time high. And the combination of NIL and transfer portal together
Mhm.
has really, at least how things are structured right now, it's completely changed the sport.
So at the end of the regular season, it seemed like Jordan Burch coming back or not was more about, does he go pro? Which to
Mhm.
me always seemed like a long shot for a guy that just hasn't had a particularly productive career at South Carolina, 4.5 career sacks.
But on that point, would test out the world, has all the
Yes.
measurables, and people would fall in love with him when they've seen him. So
Right.
that's the counterpoint to that.
He would get drafted by the Lions. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Just what's your 40 time? Lions will draft you. So that seemed like the decision that was being made. What was that always? Was that just a speculation, or was that really the first consideration? And when did transfer portal as an option really enter the equation?
Well, so when Birch was asked basically that final week of practice at the bowl game, he
Mhm.
even publicly acknowledged he was still making a decision on if he was coming back or not. And I think we all assumed that meant NFL or South Carolina.
Okay.
I don't know the exact moment that the possibility, I guess you would say, of going to another school really popped in. I'll tell you, the day of the bowl game, we started hearing about it as a possibility. Now, again, you're sitting there like, all right, is this a rumor or is this real? And for every rumor we track down, you know,
What's the hit rate?
well, and see, it's hard to say because you don't know what was a rumor because there was some truth, but then it just didn't happen. Like there's been a lot of guys
Mm.
that, especially I think you go back to when guys are freshmen and they're coming in and they have these huge expectations and then maybe they don't play. I mean, it's like a lot of times multiple guys are like, "Oh, that guy's thinking about transferring," and it's because he has said something to somebody in a moment of frustration. "Oh, this sucks. I'm not
Yeah,
playing." But
yeah, for sure.
a lot of those don't end up happening.
Mhm.
But yeah, for rumors like this, sometimes it was a rumor for a reason, but then they're like, I'm not really leaving type thing. So but I mean for example, the Marshawn Lloyd thing is coming, Marshawn Lloyd is coming back rumor that was going around. We never could pinpoint any factual basis for
That
that.
was just from
And it was churning
USC
like
fan
crazy.
3996 with the egg for the profile picture. That's where that came from.
But it was like everywhere.
Yeah.
But it just kind of got a life of its own. And I think a lot of times when we see something repeated so many times, we start to think, well, maybe there's some truth to this, but really it's just the cycle of that original rumor. And I do think there's this push, even for people who aren't like media people to be able to say, oh, well, I said this first. it may not even be true when you said it. Like you could tweet Spencer Rattler is coming back. Or you could tweet Spencer Rattler is leaving.
With no information.
With no actual information. And then whichever one hits, you could be like, I told y'all first. Well, he literally hadn't even made a decision when you said that. So it's not that he just hadn't told anyone. It's that he hadn't made a decision yet. So we're in a strange world right now in a lot of ways with sports.
Yeah, and I would also like to add on to that is that when you try and getting into timelines is tricky because I think, unfortunately, we assume that there's some nefarious things that could be happening. They might not be telling the truth, but in reality, whenever the question was asked to this person, that really honestly could have been the truth and things could have changed in the next hour, 24 hours. So I would just try and resist the urge to say, well, he knew the whole time. Because that is a possibility. But also you have to leave open the possibility that things change very rapidly.
Can I complain about something?
You can. It's your show.
Go ahead.
It's your show. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. You're taking over me.
Okay, well, start complaining, then I'll figure out if we're going to shut you down or not.
You don't do this. Chris doesn't do this. It's part of the reason that I like you, part of the reason we've worked together for as long as we have. My least favorite thing is the eyeballs emoji, is you won't believe what I just heard. If you do that, you should have your account shut down, and you should have someone... Well, it's very, very annoying.
Yeah, be careful.
It's very annoying. I think I hate people that do that. It is personal for me. Because then you can just like pat yourself. Oh, that's what I was talking about. Like something's gonna happen in a week. I don't know what it is.
Eyeballs.
Yeah.
I just wake up every morning.
I called it.
Just do it every morning. Eyeball emoji.
Yeah.
Every morning.
Yeah, and you're gonna be right about something. Oh, that eyeball emoji was about Bobby Petrino. That eyeball emoji was about, Gio Reyna's mom. It is the stupidest, most like self-important, self-aggrandizing BS Bush League move that I hate that people do it. And I the worst part about it, I don't care if people did it, but people will like reply and be like, "What is it?" It's like,
I'm not telling you.
If this person was going to tell you, they would have said it, you idiot. So stop replying to these people. Stop liking the tweets. Stop retweeting it. This is I hate it. I hate this is just like chicken feed for the social media masses, and it's incredibly aggravating. So that's basically what this eyeball emojis thing is for Burch, I guess.
Let me give my ruling on that.
Yeah.
You can complain about that all show.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah. That's I figured that since you don't do that, since you're not a practitioner of the eyeball emojis, you won't believe what I just heard. That's like
the call I just got.
In the not early days of the internet, but like when YouTube ads weren't ubiquitous, every once in a while you'd be like, I'm going to watch some Reggie Bush highlights. And then it's like, oh, hey there. You wondering how to get a garage full of nice cars like this? Well, just keep watching this 25-minute infomercial. It's got that vibe to it. I don't know. It just absolutely drives me crazy if you can't tell. I had to yell about something. All right. We'll circle back around to it because we've hit on some of the big ideas here. I do want to touch on a few more specifics as we talk about Carolina's roster turnover. It's not a hot take or an eyeball emoji to say that there's going to be more roster churn before the offseason is over for South Carolina. That's players outgoing, that's players ingoing. So we'll continue to talk about what South Carolina's roster might start to look like in 2023 next.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. The U.S. men's national team just came off a successful World Cup, drawing big television audiences, showcasing their young talent. But the big story now is the mother of a player trying to blackmail the coach for not playing her son. So it's an episode of Real Housewives. American soccer, this is why we can't have nice things. This is Damon Amendolara.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text JUDGE to 321321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text JUDGE to 321321. That's JUDGE to 321321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Hey, Gamecock Nation. Ben Cato and Matt Stedman from Cato's Power Equipment.
We are proud to be your family-owned dealership since 1984 for Aaron's, Gravely, Oro, and Steel Power Equipment. Come visit our showroom at 4012 West Beltline Boulevard, located right outside of downtown.
We're proud to serve Columbia's landscapers, municipalities, and of course our everyday grass cutters trying to one-up their neighbor. We can't wait to help maximize your mowing experience. Give us a call at 803-254-3711.
We keep the clutter out of your gutter. Call on the gutter man.
The Guttermen have been providing top-notch service throughout the Midlands for over 47 years, building their business on relationships, not gimmicks. And you can call them locally, not a 1-800 number. Call them today at 791-7147 and look for the guys in the powder blue trucks.
We keep the clutter out of your gutter. Call on the gutter man.
Locally owned Atlantic Windows and Doors has been making Columbia area homes more comfortable, attractive, weather-tight, and energy efficient for over 35 years. How? By distributing products from the best window and door manufacturers in the country. These products give you the best looks, the best quality, and the best value, all based on your specific needs. And everything is professionally installed by their dedicated and experienced employees, not subcontractors. Atlantic Windows and Doors. Visit them online at awdsc.com.
Approved credit and bank determined down payment. Call 888-411-7640 for details. The legend of JT began in 1991 when rumor has it that a man with a 300 credit score was able to buy a new car. More than 3 decades later, JT of JT's Dodgeland has helped thousands of people get the new vehicle they need. You too can join JT's Credit Restart. It's easy. If you take home $400 per week and have a steady job, you too could join the thousands JT has helped and drive the new Ram or Dodge of your dreams. Dodgeland on Greystone, jtsdodge.com. Start something new sales event.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
$18 minutes after 11 o'clock Thursday morning. Welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Pearson, Wes, Preston, Chris, Tyler here with you. Transfer portal day. We're doing this show once a week for the rest of our lives. There's some rumors. Wes has said where there is smoke, there may be fire here as people circle the is Jordan Burch going to transfer, rumor mill. It seems like there is a likelihood that that could happen, which would mean South Carolina would be down both of their starting defensive ends by the end of the season. Chris, as we welcome you in, how's it going? Happy Thursday. You having a good Thursday?
Good Thursday. Apologize for my tardiness. I
good.
absolutely hate being late to anything, but been working the phone.
I don't mean to draw attention to it. I just want you to feel welcome. What'd you have for breakfast?
That. Oh goodness, breakfast. What did I eat for breakfast this morning? Actually, I didn't really have breakfast.
Even better.
I just ate a little.
Yeah.
So that means you're still on track then.
On track. Oh, and the healthy eating.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing quite well.
There we go.
Great.
Doing pretty well.
Awesome.
Day by day.
Congratulations. Now you're intermittent fasting too, just totally on accident.
Throw it all together.
That's cool. Very good.
That's easier some days than others. Yep.
Carolina fans are disappointed by the possibility of losing Jordan Burch for a variety of reasons. He was a highly touted prospect, and fans will always, and I think sometimes fairly, think about what could have been, what could still be. This guy has freakish athletic ability. Maybe this would be the year that he puts it all together. There's also the local tie. He's from Columbia. He chose South Carolina over more traditionally desirable options. There are a lot of reasons that explain why Carolina fans would be concerned and disappointed to lose Jordan Burch. But how much of a material impact would that have on South Carolina? Sorry, let me ask it a better way. How hard would it be for Carolina to replace Jordan Burch in the transfer portal?
So, not to dodge the question, but I am going to give the answer that people are going to roll their eyes. I mean, it does depend, right? Because who's in the portal? There may be another round of transfer portal entries. And so I would say you got to put Burch also not just individually, but let's look at the entire picture, right? So, you've lost one starter. One starter who started last season because you lost a guy. Okay. But still someone who would have played a good many snaps next season in Gilbert Edmond. So that affects your depth. Burch is a starter. That is a position, I would say probably wide receiver and edge are the two positions in terms of depth. You can maybe throw defensive back in there for now because of the guys you lose that have the least amount of depth, the most questions. Actually, as I talked through that, running backs one too, right? But so there are several. But it is certainly one of the positions where you can ill afford to lose starter type talent. Now, has Jordan Burch played like a first-round pick? Did he play that way this past season? No. Otherwise, be getting a lot more buzz about, hey, this guy's probably a first or second-round draft pick. The production so far, he has to take a leap on the field wherever he is, South Carolina, somewhere else. He has to take that next step in order to, reach his potential. But I say individually, it's a loss because he does still have untapped potential, in my opinion. He has made some plays. He's a great athlete. And then when you just look at the depth in the starter situation, if you might be down to Jordan Strong, some freshmen, some guys that haven't played a lot, and then whatever you can get in the portal, which is, of course, a question at this point.
And I think we're worth pointing out, he was starting. So you, at the very least, say whatever you want about the how you feel about how he's played. He was a starter. So you're having to replace a starter level guy, I think. And, the interesting thing is I thought he maybe played his best game as a Gamecock in the bowl game. Like he was very disruptive. We have seen moments where he has been, in a position to make plays and to not take over games, but have some flashes of being able to take over games. So I think I look at it like this. If you're South Carolina, you're better off with Jordan Burch at the University of South Carolina. If he wants to leave, though, I don't know if you beg. I think, you kind of move on and go try to find the next guy. If I'm Jordan Burch, though, I'm also considering the fact I am a local guy. I am here in Columbia. How much support do I get long-term, 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road if I don't leave versus, it's 1 year at this point, how much is there to be gained from leaving for 1 year in another place versus being the guy that stuck around and is going to have lifelong? You want to start a business here in Columbia, you will be supported because you're the local guy who stuck with your team. So I think, again, it's his decision, but I'd be thinking about this as 1 year versus 40 years. If I'm Jordan Burch and I'm having to make this decision, and the edge position gets very, very interesting. It could, if Jordan Strong has his waiver and is able to come back, which there's some positive vibes that could happen, and then you have him opposite Burch, you all of a sudden feel somewhat decent about that position. But then you start talking about losing a starter, you're waiting on Strong's waiver to come through, and you're like, wow, there might be two freshmen starting.
Yeah, you could be talking about losing your top 3 defensive ends from last year or having 2 of your top 3 defensive ends return, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I want to come back because Bob hit us here in the Firehouse Subs text line just saying, why would Burch transfer? That question is interesting and worth unpacking, but sort of in that vein, if he does transfer, the options are go somewhere bigger, I guess, because you want to win more, even if you're going to play a smaller role. Your motivation is one of 2 things. I would like to compete for a national championship, say, just theoretically, everybody that plays a competitive sport wants an opportunity to compete for the championship. If you want to transfer to, let's just pull a name out of a hat, Oregon, have a chance to win the Pac-12, maybe for the first time in 3 years, and be in the playoff, maybe that's a motivation there. if you want to go somewhere to play, like Carolina to me seems like the perfect confluence because you can go somewhere better than Carolina and play less, or you can go somewhere worse than South Carolina and not even really play more, but maybe have an opportunity to stand out more. But Carolina is at an intersection of being a competitive football team. They just won 8 games. They should be around 7 or 8 plus next year. And you're playing every single snap. You're playing in the SEC. All eyes are on you. Nowhere else can you go to like Carolina, Missouri. That's a pretty low level SEC game for like your casual SEC fans. You go sit in the press box and there's like 15 NFL scouts because there's like 30 dudes in that game that NFL teams are going to want to look at. Like you're never going to get a better look unless he goes to Alabama, in which case he's going to be playing 20 snaps a game instead of 70. So I guess now I'm circling Bob's question back in. What would be the motivation if he does transfer?
Well, I think first of all, Pearson, you just made a great pitch to Jordan Burch on staying. I think.
Hope he was listening. Eric, send this to Jordan.
I felt the same way about the whole Marshawn Lloyd situation. Like, where are you going to find a better situation to where you're playing SEC competition, but you're also the guy? You are the starter, and you can go to a quote unquote bigger name program, but in split time at running back and not be the top guy, or maybe even not be among the top 2. Like I felt like Marshawn had a perfect situation coming back. And the interesting thing is, if all these guys had just said, hey, let's all come back, like Marshawn, Jaheim, Jordan, maybe you are competing for the SEC East next year. So if winning is it, I mean, Chris, I don't know if you want to speak to the exact reasons with Burch. I think there is probably some mystery there as well.
Plenty of rumor.
To
fill the void.
I'll say this. I had somebody tell me, like, competing for a championship is part of the conversation here, but I didn't hear that directly from Burch's camp, so I don't want to say that definitively. But Chris, I don't know if you want to add anything to it or not, man.
I've kind of been. It's kind of interesting because in some ways we've been here before. So Wes and I covered Jordan's recruitment in high school, and it was interesting. It went.
You could have put a period at that.
Yeah. But I'll attempt to contextualize it. I mean, obviously, he had his commitment ceremony, but did not sign. It ended up going late. So there was some back and forth elements. There was a lot of mystery around it, whether it was where is he visiting, what schools are, truly in the mix. And I think, we generally had a really good handle on it, that for most of the time, South Carolina was in really good shape, but LSU made a big push. So it was kind of difficult, to get a handle on certain things. It was very quiet at times. So, to bring it forward to this decision on whether or not to stay or go, I mean, I think it's several different factors, and it's kind of hard to get a firm handle on the exact reasons, because even some of the information I've been given behind the scenes, like you'll hear something from the exact same place that kind of contradicts it, like by the end of the day. And so I think that also indicates the point that this isn't just a cut and dry. He's definitely staying. He's definitely going. There have been some things communicated behind the scenes that certainly have not sounded promising for South Carolina. But at the same time, it hasn't happened yet officially. And there's also, been some ongoing conversations. So I think when you look at it now, I mean, y'all pointed out Jordan played a lot of snaps this season. You can contextualize that and see why. But is that a reason?
Does he only want to play 45 a game?
Well, do you want to play, in a game where you have 80 snaps?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to play 75 of them?
Right, exactly.
Preston, would you want to do that?
Probably not. No, I feel I never thought about that.
You can give 100% on how many snaps before you start to lose something.
A lot less than 80.
Yeah. So there's that. I mean, let's be honest, y'all. I mean, this is 2022 in college football. It's not pro athletics right now, but NIL is important.
Mm-hmm. That's where everybody's mind goes.
Some could even say it's 2023.
2023. Well, we just finished the 2022 season.
I'm just messing with it.
I was asking if you were going to write the date. You just said it.
I did. That was my first date mess up. It's January. Hold on. Let me get the date right when I said it. January 5th. Went 5 days.
Nice.
It's a record.
Pretty good. We just wrapped up with the 2022 season.
Nice.
By the way, we do
Same
now
here.
have audio of Chris saying he's definitely leaving and he's definitely staying. So much in
Just cut those sound
the
bites out.
eyeball emoji Twitter vein, he can now go back
Yep.
and say either way that
Whatever happens, you were right, Chris.
I said it. I was right.
Well done.
Just say all options.
So everybody's mind immediately goes to NIL, and I don't think it's wrong to do that, but let's dig into what that might look like for Burch or even just in general. 803-404-6100. Love Chevy phone line, Firehouse Subs text line. All of us on Twitter. Here we go. At Pearson Fowler, at Wes Mitchell GC, at Coach P Tweets, at GC Chris Clark, at TylerHead18, and the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. We'll be back.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
You haven't tasted real Carolina barbecue until you've experienced Little Pig's Barbecue. Full-service dine-in buffet with barbecue ribs, brisket, chicken, rice, hash, tomato pie, macaroni and cheese, and many more of your favorites. Eat in or take out. Little Pig's Barbecue on Alpine Road is open from 11 to 2 on Wednesday, 11 to 8 Thursday through Saturday, and 11 to 3 on Sunday. Little Pig's Barbecue on Alpine Road. Little Pig's family looks forward to seeing you soon.
Wow, 2022 flew by, but I sure am ready for 2023. My favorite way to start the new year is to make my home feel like new with Zerorez carpet and air duct cleaning. Only Zerorez uses the advanced, patented process with ZR water for superior, long-lasting clean. Right now, get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 plus. Mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZerorezColumbia.com.
Hey, I'm Roy Finley.
And I'm Dana Finley, owners of AAA Heating and Air.
If your unit's living on borrowed time, replace it now with AAA's best deal of the year.
Get an instant rebate of $1,500 plus 0% financing with no money down for qualified buyers and a 15-year parts and labor warranty.
This offer won't last. Call AAA today for your $1,500 savings and 0% financing. Call 677-1500.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
My friends at the South Carolina Forestry Commission want your help in canceling wildfires this year.
Or at least the ones caused by humans, which are about 90% of all wildfires.
Negligent but avoidable behaviors like careless outdoor debris burning,
lax campfire safety, and improper vehicle and equipment use
are the leading causes of wildfires in South Carolina.
Please think before you burn outdoors or operate spark-producing equipment.
Let's cancel wildfires, South Carolina.
Sponsored by the South Carolina Forestry Commission, the South Carolina Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, how Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
11:34 Thursday morning. Welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour on 107.5 The Game. Pearson, Wes, Preston, Chris, and Tyler here with you in the Herndon Chevy studios of 107.5 The Game. A lot of transfer portal talk today. Some people anticipating a Jordan Burch transfer announcement sometime soon, at least a strong possibility of that today. What does it mean for Carolina? What does it mean for how they continue to attack the transfer portal for the rest of this offseason? Before we get back into our conversation, though, today is Thursday, which means, let me see, I should have this committed to memory right now. I'm pretty sure it's the Jamaican jerk is tomorrow. I think it's the Cajun chicken, some other adjectives sandwich.
The word is at the beginning. The spicy Cajun chicken.
Spicy Cajun chicken sandwich at Firehouse Subs.
I think, Chris, we got to try this one for the first time, or it was my first time having it at the grand opening in Orangeburg.
Yes.
That was one of the ones we had?
Yeah. It was. That was my second time. So I'm a little bit ahead of you. But yeah, Thursday, spicy Cajun chicken. That is today's sub of the day at Firehouse Subs. They have a sub of the day, guys, every day of the week. Sunday through Monday, Monday through Sunday. Any day in 2023, see, I got the date right. Visit one of the 14 Firehouse Subs locations in the Midlands. $5.99 for a small, $7.99 for a medium. I get the medium. Sub of the day. Make sure you mention the specific daily special. Again, one for every day of the week. Today is spicy Cajun chicken. If you're not in the mood for the sub of the day on the specific day, hit up anything else on the menu. I also recommend the prime rib steak sub. It is fantastic. Lots of ways to order and to see where the closest Firehouse to you is. FirehouseSubs.com, the Rapid Rescue. Download the Firehouse Subs app. They also have a really cool rewards program. Or if you text us here on the Firehouse Subs text line with your takes on Jordan Burch or sandwiches or whatever it may be, you will actually get a link back where you can order a Firehouse Sub online. That's 803-404-6100 on the Firehouse Subs text line. And guys, actually, I think this is locked in. We're going to be at a Firehouse Subs location. Let's just tease it. Let's not give the full details. Next week on Friday, Firehouse Friday, Firehouse Subs Friday, we're going to be at one of the local locations. And also some breaking news. Pretty sure we're going to have a Gamecock football player there with us hanging out for a little while.
Wow.
More details coming
Preston's
on that.
going to be there.
A real one.
Current.
You're a team captain.
There you go. You're right. Last millennium, but
what was I going to say?
Last millennium.
Something about Jordan Burch. I got. You got any more Lou Holt stories for us?
We'll just default to that.
Just always default.
Sausage takes. No. So Jordan Burch potentially transferring. Bob and a lot of other people. Why? You're playing a lot of snaps. You're on a pretty good team. A team that's got an arrow facing upward. Seemed like Sterling Lucas is a dude. If you're trying to get to the NFL, how about someone that's been coaching in the NFL? Seems like a perfect storm. Of course, everybody's mind goes to NIL. And then, and here's where we're going to branch off into geopolitics a little bit. South Carolina, historically just a poor state. As a state, not individuals, South Carolina is a poor state. I wonder if there's like some of that geopolitical like insecurity, because immediately it's like, why isn't South Carolina paying more to keep Burch? It's like this feeling that Carolina can't compete in the NIL space. When in reality, and I don't know what all the I don't know the Garnet Trust valuation versus the this versus the that. But when you look at every other measurable metric, South Carolina spends money to compete in football and in athletics, for facilities, for recruiting. Like Carolina's always in the top 25 in value of the program and the amount of money that they spend in the program. So when I see people saying, well, they're just being cheap and they don't want to pay to keep Bell and to keep Burch and all these people that are demanding NIL deals, I don't see it that way. Because nothing to me says that this is a team that's going to try to cheap out to like save a penny. It says to me that maybe in South Carolina's evaluation, not valuation, in their evaluation of these players, maybe it's not worth whatever the open market price is going to end up being for a lot of these players.
Well, and it's a complex question because when you say South Carolina, like as an institution, it's different than being like, okay, when they're deciding to build the new ops building or the indoor practice facility, and you're kind of going through all, where the finance is going to come from. There's a state process too, all these different things. that's just a lot different because they can make those decisions, as long as they go through all the red tape of the state bureaucracy. With the way that the NCAA NIL guidance is structured, the role of NIL collectives, so to speak, like you mentioned, Garnet Trust, like it's not, the school can't really make those choices. You know what I mean? I mean, in some ways, there can be, under the guidance, there can be communication now between school officials like the coaching staff and collectives, for instance. Like we didn't even anticipate that in October. The NCAA, despite being like, this collective thing's out of control, they're like, here's some more power.
Yeah.
Basically to the collectives. Are you going to ask something?
Yeah. Just as a quick example, does that mean that Shane Beamer could call Garnet Trust and be like,
hypothetically?
Yes, hypothetically, just mechanically, or not even South Carolina. Let me say, can Kirby Smart call a Georgia NIL collective and be like, give this player this NIL deal?
Under the guidance, no. The rules are the NCAA's guidance from October says that schools, athletic department officials, they can basically, generally ask for support, donations, memberships to NIL collectives. You can't specify what sport it's going to go to, what specific player.
So could the Georgia collective call Kirby Smart and be like, hey, should we give this guy an NIL deal?
Yeah, look, I'm telling you what the rules are. Now,
Right.
What happens,
That's true.
What happens is entirely a different story. But I think you make, I think your point about the resources are in place here in South Carolina to be competitive in the NIL space. I think I could do not only an entire Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, but I could do like a long form podcast on it. I think sitting in here about like why it is where it is, but you can just point to some of the other things, right? All these nice facilities, et cetera, the money that they spend, the money is out there. Now, when we walk out of here, like we're not going to find an oil field, so Texas A&M money, whatever, that's not here. But
no
you
Bobby
don't really,
Petrino money here.
You don't really need that. And I think sometimes what you see in the NIL space is you will hear a number that a player got. When you hear about an offensive lineman getting high six figures over the course of a few years to go to an SEC school, for instance, you're like, geez, that's just kind of out of control, And then it depends, how does the coach want to build his program? There's just a lot of different factors to it.
I think there's an education component to this as well, that is still trying to get caught up. I think on all sides, frankly, on the side of your quote unquote boosters, what am I giving to the Gamecock Club? What am I giving to collectives? What am I doing directly with players if I own a business? I think there's an education component that is still needs to get caught up on the player side as well. I mean, you're talking about 18 to 22-year-old individuals who are now dealing with conversations about potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you haven't been taught the intricacies of that, the intricacies of taxes and what it means for you, what you should actually do with that sum of money as far as investing it for your future. There's a huge part of NIL that is still in its infancy, I think, and that I am hopeful will get caught up on all sides of this thing, because I can't imagine. I mean, I thought I was rich if I had a couple $100 in my pocket when I was 18. So if somebody starts talking about $100,000, $1 million, that's not even a real thing to me at that age. That's just a big old number.
Yeah.
So, but hey, you're now in a tax bracket where up to a certain point, you owe 35% of that money back to the government. So there's a lot of educational components to this, again, on all sides of it, that I think still need to catch up.
I was just having nightmares of the when I first went from being a strictly W-2 to having some 1099s, and I was like, where's that income coming from? And I got to pay? What is going on here? I can't keep it all. I was 34 at the time, so just just for a point of reference.
Everybody's got to learn, and you're right. The education component is absolutely crucial. But in terms of the mechanics from the school, like, people are preemptively upset and disappointed that Carolina doesn't spend as much in the NIL space is Southern Cal and Ohio State. And if Clemson is the one that hurts because it's around there. But I mean, to the extent that the numbers are available, Carolina spends as much or more than Kentucky, Missouri, Mississippi State, Virginia Tech. Like Carolina spends a lot for its neighborhood. I don't know if you can answer this question. If you can't, just plead the fifth, and I'll think of something else to ask you. Has since the, I guess just in the last 2 years, NIL, transfer portal, the confluence of those crazy things happening, has Carolina lost a bidding war for a player, either to keep or to get?
Since NIL came about?
Yeah, just in the last couple of years. Last couple seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was before NIL.
Well, yeah.
During, after, if there's ever an there won't be an after, I guess. But
I would say this: the cool thing about NIL is though that if you want to support the players directly, you can do that for like $10 a month. So it's not the. I think the beauty of NIL too, from a fan perspective, is you don't have to be a multimillionaire. You may feel like to make an impact prior, you don't have to have your name on a facility to make an impact now. I think there is power in numbers for this stuff as well. So for Carolina, I think part of it is getting their bigger boosters involved, but also just the random fan that wants to help, realizing, hey, my money can help as well.
There is a very, very, very easy formula, in my opinion, just kind of observing this, for South Carolina's kind of, for lack of a better term, NIL like ecosystem to easily have between 5 to 10 million a year to spend. And that's not, I don't want to make it sound easy, but like it's not that difficult.
It's not far-fetched.
It's not far-fetched at all. Like it's not a pipe dream in the grand scheme of things with the correct organization, buy-in. Like, I mean, Wes talked about education. That's still very much missing. I mean, we've had more questions, I think, about NIL on the Insiders Forum than ever, because we kind of came along and said, not to paint ourselves as, we told you so, but like we're telling people this is going to be very important in recruiting. And I think until you actually see the impact and it's kind of tangible, like you see some guys leaving or the threat of them leaving, or you see what happens at other schools, it's starting to sink into people that, this is pretty important.
Right. But I guess my point in asking you this is, this may not be that example or that catalyst. This may not be South Carolina can't afford to keep Jordan Burch, or they can't afford to keep Gilbert Edmond, or they can't afford to keep Jaheim Bell. Those may be separate business decisions being made. They may have the money to keep those guys, but they might find that it's a better allocation of resources elsewhere. Somebody else in the portal to replace them, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, that can happen too. I mean, and you see like a lot. I'll also say, so I've been one of the foremost advocates, for NIL and for its importance, like in recruiting, just telling people how important it is. If you do talk to high school prospects, there are still some guys in 2023. Got it again. Nice. We need the ding. Yep. So there are still some guys that don't value it as much. There are some guys that have it like third on their list. I think that will, continue to creep up. There's some guys that admit, I know The Athletic, they had a piece recently where they asked guys, how important is it, kind of rank it anonymously. And some guys said, yeah. And they went into figures, and there's some big figures. So you'll hear coaches in the industry talk, or NIL centric people in the industry talk. They're like, well, so-and-so got this to go to that school or to transfer to that school. And they're like, that's crazy. I mean, the other place may have had it, but they may have made a decision of, that's crazy,
I wonder how this is going to work in the new NCAA game. Because, like, it's easy to recruit, like, proximity to home or early playing time. Like, those are easy to figure out. I wonder how this will work in the new NCAA game. Which, by the way, I think isn't coming out until 2024 now, which is sad.
Very sad.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the NCAA will let it go. Because, they'll like have a sort of some barriers put up on what they want in their game. So
definitely.
Hopefully they let this thing go wild.
So when you do
west.
use your recruiting points to do like your pitch, like proximity to home, they'll have like a NIL.
They have to, right? That's football now.
That would be awesome.
What if you have like a salary cap for your school on what you can spend?
The whole off season, there's going to be like fundraising events that you have to go to.
When you say fundraising, I'm thinking like bake sale or something. Like we're just baking cookies.
That to be an
better be
ass
some
of
good
cookies,
brownies. Yeah,
or really good. 803-404-6100. Love Chevy phone line, Firehouse Subs text line, and Twitter at Pearson Fowler,
Lemonade
at West Mitchell
Stand.
GC, Lemonade Stand, at Coach P Tweets, at GC Chris Clark, at Tyler Head 18. Wrapping things up right after this.
The Halftime Show with Jay Phillips and Terry Ford.
I remember sending off Dave to join the KISS Army when I was in like the second grade. Is that about the same thing?
Similar, very similar, except you can do it online. Kinsiders.
Kinsiders.
They're sisters. They have VIPs, before, and you get to meet them, and they sign your stuff and all that, and you get to hang with them and, talk to everybody in the band.
They shook Dave's hand. He hasn't washed his hands since.
I pull my shirt down, give him a Sharpie. Here, sign my chest.
Sign my chest.
All right. See, this is my fault. I usually want to blame other people for things. This is my fault.
Noon to 3 on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
Here's Bill McDaniel of McDaniel's Auto Group for the Hood team.
Danny and I had a sale earlier this year, and I don't care when I called, at night, morning, evening, Danny is always there. Then when you put together the kind of people that Danny Hood is, and Karen and William, you've got an awesome real estate team.
I'm Danny Hood.
And I'm Karen Hood.
And I'm William DiMaggio.
We're the Hood team at Coldwell Banker Realty.
Give us a call.
At 803-730-2512.
Or online at thehoodteam.com.
By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about those sounds? Those are the sounds of an LG wash tower with ultra-large capacity, serving up a powerful yet gentle clean in just 29 minutes. Making this the sound of savings on the best appliance brands. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Get up to 25% off the LG wash tower with ultra-large capacity and reduced wash time. Pricing valid January 5th through January 25th, 2023. Gas Dryer Extra. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Asthma symptoms can attack anywhere, like on a city street. Now you can get fast relief anywhere with new improved Primatene Mist, the only FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. So whether you need relief of symptoms at the park or at your kitchen table, Primatene Mist starts working quickly, opening up your airways to restore free breathing. For temporary relief of mild symptoms of intermittent asthma, use Primatene Mist and breathe easy again. Available at CVS, Rite Aid, and Walgreens. Use as directed.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell.
On the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5
The Game.
9 minutes in front of noon. Welcome back in. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour on 107.5 The Game. Pearson, Wes, Preston, Chris, Tyler, everybody here today. Talking a lot about the transfer portal. This time tomorrow, there may be some news. It seems like Jordan Burch is leaning towards transferring, or at least it's a strong indication that's a possibility at this point. Probably not the last guy to transfer, and Carolina, I imagine, will get some more transfers in. So as we continue an offseason of roster churn, we'll keep you up to date. In the meantime, wanted to get to this yesterday, didn't get a chance to, but on TV, Tuesday night was the Under Armour All-America game, which of course is interesting if you're just a fan of, high school football. It's the best of the best. It's a bunch of guys playing. I saw this tweet. I don't know who this person is, but Brendan Moore, this just popped up on my timeline Tuesday night. The schools with the most signees in the Under Armour All-America game Tuesday night. Florida, 8. Alabama, 7. Oklahoma, 7. Georgia, 5. Texas, 5. South Carolina, 5. Very well represented in the Under Armour All-America game. Wes, I know you got a chance to catch some of it, some of the Gamecocks that were involved. What'd you take away? And did it feel like a showcase for Carolina's 2023 signing class?
I mean, I think just having that number of guys down there is a good thing, and I think it's really honestly good for the guys because you get a firsthand, and it's a week long. I put more stock, especially Shrine Bowl as well. We weren't down there for the week of practice, but a lot of the evaluators are down there. You even get a little bit more, I think, from the week of practice than you do in the actual game. And it's a chance for these guys to go compete with some of the other top players in the country, which I think is a little bit of a preview for them of what they're going to face in college, and that the guys you're facing are just as big as you, just as fast as you. And, I think you had a couple of guys, according to our own 3 analysts, Zay McLeod from Camden had a good week. Could potentially move up. Chris's boy, Desmond Umeozulu, been working on that in the mirror.
Nice. Ding.
He had a sack, forced fumble, a couple tackles, I think. So it was a good day for him. But I think for all those guys, just being able to go down there and compete was a big deal.
So you were at Shrine Bowl practice, what was that, like a month ago, a couple weeks ago? There's the Under Armour All-America game. There's another All-American game. There's like a North-South game? Is that just the state?
The North-South game you're talking about, yes, is basically the state of South Carolina. Shrine Bowl is South Carolina versus North Carolina.
Okay.
You have the two big national all-star games, which is Under Armour All-America, and then the other one is Adidas All-American. I don't know the grammatical reasons of the difference there, but the Adidas one used to be the Army game. But is not anymore right now. There's a couple of other national games.
I want to know what all the All-Star games are.
There's a couple of other ones that just aren't as don't have as much notoriety, but Pup Howard was invited to the Adidas one. And basically
that's the American, not America.
Yes, but he is not playing in it just because he had already he'd already started practicing with South Carolina and is already here and just but a lot of the guys played in that game, like Marquis Anderson, for example, played in that game and then was in Columbia by yesterday to move in, because yesterday was the first day that freshmen were moving in over at 650.
Preston, what'd you play in?
I played in the Shrine Bowl.
Okay.
North Carolina versus South Carolina.
And that's like you got an invitation and you were like definitely going to do that, or was it a sense of obligation?
No, it was definitely an honor to play in that game. And I don't know the profile because there wasn't as many national games at that time, but it was a pretty high honor for sure.
That's cool. So how many of these, and you don't even have to say which one, how many of these are like the All-Star game and how many of these are like the Pro Bowl in terms of like level of intensity and like the people that'll be there?
Yeah, I would say both the Adidas / former Army one and the Under Armour one are highly prestigious. Like if you get invited to this, that means something. Like the guys care about that. Now I will say, you can even tell watching on TV, these guys aren't out there trying to knock each other's heads off. Like they're playing the game at a little bit above like practice level, and that you're out there trying to showcase yourself, but you're not there. A lot of these guys are out there all week long. They become friends. They're doing different activities together. Little different intensity than like a college football game, obviously.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are all five of the guys that played in that game are early enrollees for South Carolina?
I don't think they all are.
Okay. Because they had a bunch.
So
yes.
Yeah, so
just in general.
Marquis, Desmond, Montague, Xavier McLeod, those four are.
Okay.
Who are the other ones? Kelton Henderson, I don't think is an early enrollee.
I don't think he is. See, I also had Trevon Ball as a selection for the game as well.
Yep.
And I don't remember if Trevon's an early guy or not. And sometimes the early enrollee status is something that you're kind of waiting to the last minute. Not saying that's the case with Trevon, but I don't always count those as being official until they're here, basically.
And a bunch of guys are. We'll go through the list. We'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. That's all we have time for today. Might have some transfer portal news by this time tomorrow, but you'll have to tune into the Gamecock Central Hour to find out. Appreciate you all listening, as always, and the halftime show is coming up next.
WNKT-FM East